Hey everyone, today we're back in Mythos and we're building a teacup ride. Are you ready to spin in circles until the sun comes out? Well, before that actually happens, don't forget to like and subscribe button if you want to see more. Now let the chaos begin. Alright, so there's multiple oopsies that we get to start with. First of all, this is the second time I'm recording this voiceover because the first time was so chaotic, your brain would melt, it would just fall out of your nose, then it would just become, because of the chaos, an acidic gloop that would burn through the floor, and eventually you would reach the center of the earth. The earth would be like, fuck, what the hell is this, and would spit your melted brain goop back out into your face. That's the amount of chaos. I also hit my mic, and because setup wise is the other oopsie, this will probably be noticeable in some way. But yeah, the second oopsie, as I said, is setup. I recently got a new PC, recently being 2 weeks ago, but life got chaotic, and because it was so chaotic I was mentally drained and I didn't have the motivation to record or do anything basically when it came to making videos or anything in general. I basically just got home from work and I would just eat and sleep and then go back again. Anyways, but I got a new PC, which meant that I had to set up everything, set up the recording software and screw that basically up, because I had set up the recording software to record Planet Zoo as like an input in the recording software, and you have to like set up manually like the games that it records. I think you can already see where it's going. I forgot to set up that it would record Planet Coaster 2. I keep forgetting to say Planet Coaster 2. This is not Planet Coaster, this is Planet Coaster 2. I was just happily building away, building the figure in the center, the most important bit of this build basically. And then I stopped building, built more actually. And then finally I looked at like what I had recorded. And then I realized I was recording a black screen because the recording software didn't have the input to record Planet Coaster 2, so it just didn't record anything. It just recorded a black screen, some like background music that I was playing, and that was it. So yeah, that was an oopsie. But anyways, so with that out of the way, hey, I'm back after 4 weeks. Again, life got crazy. In a good way, before anyone starts wondering, oh, what the fuck is happening? Good things happened. It's just a lot of things happened really quickly, and I was just mentally drained. So everything is well, and I hope that the next coming weeks are a lot more peaceful than the last few weeks. Funnily enough, I had like a 1 week break before. Or, well, in those last few weeks I had a 1 week break, and it didn't feel like a break because after that, like, this week was just complete chaos. And so the week before that I had a week break, and I just couldn't relax because I knew what was happening. It was like the calm of the storm. Nope, just nope. Anyways, let's start talking about what we're actually building. So what we're building is, and I have to already apologize for my pronunciation because I barely am able to speak sentences in English. So Japanese is going to just, anyone who speaks Japanese might want to, cover their ears or just stab them out completely, because the trauma of me trying to pronounce Japanese names might actually make that a pleasant thing to do. Don't do it, it's a joke. I'm not responsible for your hospital bills. This teacup ride is representing the story of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and this one is going to be difficult because this is probably not pronounced the way that it's written, but it's the story of Amaterasu and Ame no Uzume. Ame no Uzume is what I'm going to go with. It's probably not pronounced that way, and I think that every Japanese speaking person is just crying right now. But basically, and this is going to be a very oversimplification of the story and the deities in it. But it's the story of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and Ame no Uzumi, basically the goddess of merriment in Japanese mythology. And the story goes about that Susanoo, the brother of Amaterasu, the storm god, basically wrecked Amaterasu's home. And at a certain point, he skinned her horse, or some kind of animal, but he skinned it and threw it through Amaterasu's loom. Don't know where he learned his manners, but I mean, it's a storm god, so usually storm gods are unpredictable and just wild, because storms are wild. But yeah, after that, basically Amaterasu said, fuck you, I'm going away. And she sealed herself away in a cave and just sort of grieved and all of that. But you know what happens when the sun goes away? Yeah, life is screwed. So, like, there was basically just an eternal dark in which nothing grew, famine, everything, it's just horrible. Just look up at the sky right now and be thankful that the sun is there, because if it wasn't, life wouldn't exist. And so, of course, because this was happening, like Amaterasu was in a cave, and everything around it was just complete and utter chaos, darkness, and death, all of the other gods were just like, yeah, we need to get her out of the cave. How do we do that? I think there were like multiple attempts by different gods to get Amaterasu out of the cave. But finally, I think another god, I don't know which god, I should really look this up a lot more, but finally there was an attempt, and a final attempt, and that was basically to just have like a lot of merriment, a lot of partying, a lot of happiness, to basically lure Amaterasu out of like what's going on, because the sun is gone, and she also knew that. So like, why is everybody so happy and such? And like to fully just like, you know, have all of the merriment. Of course, you have the goddess of merriment, Ame no Uzumi. Taking extra time pronouncing that name, even though I'm fucking up the name probably 50 ways. Like every letter I'm probably screwing up here. But basically just like a lot of merriment. Of course, Ame no Uzumi was called for that. And the way that the story usually goes, well, let's actually skip forward a bit, because this is going to be fun later on. But basically, Amaterasu was lured out of the cave of just like curiosity of like what's going on, why is everybody so happy when basically death and decay is all around. And they just put a mirror in front of the cave, and Amaterasu saw herself, saw her beauty, was lured out of that. And I don't know if she then made the decision to just never leave again, to never hide away again, or if they just like all of the other gods quickly went behind her, blocked the cave so that she couldn't get back. I really like the latter, but it could be that it was a conscious decision of Amaterasu. It could be a mix of both. But it's really funny to just think of it as like a Looney Tunes thing where she gets out of the cave and like 50 other gods quickly just block up the cave behind her. And then she just looks around and just like... I like that idea, but then I also realized it's a mythology and I shouldn't make jokes about it. I am allowed to make enough jokes about the Greek pantheon though, because Zeus and Poseidon are assholes, and you're allowed to make fun of assholes. But anyways, now to go back to Ame no Uzumi, because here's the fun thing. You know how she like, you know, she's the goddess of merriment and partying and such, and she's meant to lure Amaterasu out. A lot of the depictions of that story is her basically stripping. Either fully or mostly just like the top. So yeah, she was basically stripping for Amaterasu, which, you know, if you read into that, I mean, good for ya, girl. But I don't know how I would have done that in a theme park, because like Mythos is supposed to be like a little bit more adult geared. So it's not supposed to be Disney. It's not supposed to be fully child friendly, because like trying to make all of these mythologies completely child friendly would be difficult, especially when you go towards Greek and again Zeus, Poseidon. Nope. But so basically, she is half nude or fully nude. How am I going to do that with a theme park? So I basically looked up Japanese underwear, because I didn't want to have her fully nude and just like strolling around and like her boobs just everywhere. Which, come to think of it, I don't know how I'm going to represent Aphrodite, because she's like 99% of the time she's depicted in the nudes. So probably going to do a similar thing as I did with Ame no Uzumi, where she is in the process of stripping. So like the robe is coming off, there is like the sort of underwear structure underneath it, which is also coming loose, but it's not showing anything. Actually, it's like in the process of. So that's going on, and it was really funny because I just looked up Japanese underwear. Don't do that. Look up ancient Japanese underwear. Otherwise, you're basically, the internet is just like, oh, do you want lingerie? No. I'm looking for like, this is going to sound weird, what geishas have under their clothes. Because I was just like, oh yeah, that. That sounds really weird. So yeah, be very specific with your search terms, because Google will just go straight for what you're writing. So yeah. Luckily, when I looked up, immediately just looked up, oh yeah, ancient Japanese underwear. Then it actually depicted what I looked for, or what I wanted. Which still sounds really weird. But anyways, I really just like... Also, fun thing, like, my brain has just completely melted. So I might be repeating myself here, but... There's another oopsie in this video, which I actually let in because I really want to just like, if you guys were in front of me, I would hit you with a rubber hammer, which had like, don't compare yourself to content creators or anyone online when it comes to like building in Planet Coaster 2 or Planet Zoo or anything, just on the hammerhead and just like boink you guys on the head with it. Because... as you can see, the light structure, like those lanterns, first of all, those are... I think the second version was 6,000 pieces. This is, I think, 10,000 pieces. Because they're all just custom-made lanterns, because we don't have lanterns yet. But the structure that I built right now, I really disliked. With like the beams going over, it felt really weird. It just didn't work with the flow of the rest of the building. I did keep it in, partially also because this video would be really short without it, but also because I make mistakes as well. The only thing is I don't show them, so it all looks perfect. So in the end, I had to just go in there, delete all of this, remake the lanterns, do it in a different way so that it wasn't crossing over the ride itself, and just figure it out from there. Also, I had a bit of a fuck up when it came to the fences around the ride, because when you put it on like random rotation, which don't know why it was on that, but when you do that, it doesn't want to like duplicate and then immediately advance move. So like Control X, which is what I use a lot of the times when I'm building, to just duplicate it, but also immediately have it in advanced move. Yeah, that didn't work. And I had to like look around. I actually reinstalled Planet Coaster 2 because I thought it was a glitch. I thought it was a bug. It was not, or it slightly is. But yeah, if you have random rotation on, advanced move duplicate doesn't really work well. Was there another fuck up? Because this entire video was in a way a fuck up. Because I'm supposed to finish that coaster that we're building. But as I said, the last few weeks have been total chaos. Again, positive chaos, so don't... If I hear anyone say anything of just like, oh, I hope things are going well, I'm going to boop you with that rubber hammer again, but this time I will do an uppercut. I will send you to space. So don't hope everything is going well now. Don't. Unless you want to go to space. You might... I mean, I would do it for free. There were a few recently that went to space for like 12 minutes. I wish that billionaires were like the billionaires back in the day, like the rich back in the day when they built hospitals, schools, libraries, and theaters and such, and didn't go to space. Anyways, back on the actual video, because no depressing real life stuff here for a bit. But what was I talking about again? I think you can literally just hear the Windows boot up sound as my brain starts to go back into gear. Wait for it. Wait for it. No, it's gone. It's rebooting. My brain needs a BIOS update. Actually, my brain just needs a complete refresh. Back to factory settings. Maybe I should boot myself with that rubber hammer. I don't think it would do much. I'm saying rubber hammer because I don't want to hurt you guys, but also it's just fun to boop guys or people. It would be so much fun to just have a day where you just can walk around with a rubber hammer and just boop everybody on the head who annoys you. Anyways, this is probably because of the Dutch accent. It's probably going to consistently sound like I'm saying boop, as in breasts. I mean, I can't say cigarettes because it will sound like cigarettes, because accent screws me over every time. Anyways, so yeah, I was supposed to build a coaster, but because of like the chaotic time, good chaotic time, again, I will boop you with a hammer and send you to space if you say anything of like get well or anything like that. But I was just like, oh, I just want to build. I had this idea for a long time. I really like the story, and it really works well with the teacup ride because the figure in the middle is spinning, you are spinning, but also like everything is spinning just like a wild party. This could have also really worked well actually with a Dionysus ride. Any kind of like god or goddess of like merriment or such, put them in a teacup ride. But yeah, so I had this idea for a long time, and I was just like, I have no motivation to build. I have no motivation to record. I do want to build this, so let's build this. Even though it's not connected to anything else, like this ride is going to stay in Mythos for like a bit completely on its own, because we're not building the Japanese area for a long while. But I just had to like get the motivation and the drive going again. However, the sad thing, or the maybe slightly annoying thing, is it has now opened the doors of chaos, and now I want to build other things that are also not connected to anything else I've already built. A lot of the things in the Arthurian and the Norse area. The Arthurian area is luckily next to the main street, so I have an excuse to start building on that, but I only have an idea there for like a dueling coaster and a drop tower. I have no idea what to do with the rest. I also want to build a tavern, and I mean, every area is probably going to have a restaurant of some kind. Anyways, I also did a lot of nature and such, and actually I put rocks on the actual building itself. Why? Because I wanted to give it this sort of mystical vibe, and if the building was just completely clear and such, it didn't have that mystical vibe. At least to me it didn't. And so put rocks and plants on roofs. Doesn't make any sense, because how the hell would the plants stay alive up there? There's probably like sort of small baskets built so that they can like have roots and such. But yeah, do that. Also, the music for this ride was just hell to set up. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more. Oh yeah, there's also channel memberships if you want to have early access to videos. If I ever release videos early, because that's a struggle in itself.